Sabres have had some power play problems as of late, but help is on the way. Jason Zucker returns to the lineup. Sabres Canucks, talking about it coming up on Locked On Sabres.
You're Locked On Sabres, your daily podcast on the Buffalo Sabres. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome in to this Tuesday game night edition of the Locked On Sabres podcast. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you listen to your podcasts. We are available on YouTube. You want to watch the show, be sure to like and subscribe if you do. You want ad-free versions of this show and access to our Locked On Sabres Discord, plus some other perks. Head over to lockedonsabres.supercast.com, and that is where you could become a part of our Everydayers Club. Going through some of the lines in our Everydayers Club. Today, we were talking about some of the things that Tage Thompson had to say on some recent podcasts. He was on with Spit and Chicklets. He was also on with me and Jeremy White on WGR, which was a very good listen on Tuesday morning. So if you missed that, be sure to check that out as well. Today's episode of Locked On Sabres is presented by FanDuel. Before tip-off, check the FanDuel app, see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Sneaky Joe DiBiase on Sabres and Canucks. Sabres back in action. They've been off since Saturday. They are looking to restart a win streak here, and it's a big game to do that because you're going on the road in your next one. You got a bunch of home games here. This is a very beatable opponent. We'll talk about Vancouver. We'll look at some of the lines for tonight's game, both the lineup and also the betting lines. Both that ahead coming up on today's show, so stay tuned for that. The Sabres and the Canucks have met this season. They played in Vancouver a couple of weeks ago, December 11th. That was right as the 10-game win streak was beginning for the Buffalo Sabres. A 3-2 win in Vancouver. It was the second win of that streak. And that was a game where the Sabres did not necessarily perform that well. They were okay. I thought that was a game where maybe the shots on goal weren't telling the whole story, but the Sabres definitely, I thought, got outplayed in that one. This might not be by as wide of a margin as some of the numbers looked. In that game, Sabres got outshot 32-15, but they got their goals. Tage scored a really nice goal in the second period of that game. Dahlin had scored on a one-timer. Some of your big guns had showed up, and you scored on the power play. Zach Benson with the game-winning goal late in the second period. Little nice play where he had dropped down into the slot on the left, and he ripped home a one-timer, which is not a goal you're going to see very often from Zach Benson. And the Sabres were able to get the win over Vancouver, a team that has been in turmoil ever since. Vancouver, I mean, their season is that is all about the blowing up of a roster and a team that is on the fritz to kind of tear it all down. That was one of the final games of Jack Hughes in a Vancouver Canucks uniform. He played that night, had an assist against the Buffalo Sabres. That was it. That was his final game in Vancouver. He was traded right thereafter to the Minnesota Wild, which is the best player on their team, and he's moved. That's when you know things are not going well in Vancouver. And things have not really turned around since they made that trade. I mean, that was a futures type of trade, right? You got a couple of prospects, you got a couple of picks, and you're looking to turn things around in the future. I thought it was a head scratcher. I do not think that a team should ever trade away a player of that stature. He is one of the three best defensemen in the National Hockey League. I consider the three best defensemen, in whatever order you want, to be Cale Makar, Quinn Hughes, and Rasmus Dahlin. I think those are the three best defensemen in the National Hockey League. And to trade one of them away, I mean, I know things are not going well if you're Vancouver. And I know there's only 2 years left on that contract, and they were probably afraid of that. But I would want to exhaust all options, go all the way to the end with Quinn Hughes, at least to next year, and try to figure out a way to turn things around and sign him to another extension before I was willing to give up on him. But maybe they weren't too far away from the point that I'm talking about anyway. So they decided to do it then and there. And now it's a rebuilding team. I mean, it's pretty close to it. There are Thatcher Demko rumors again, a player that we have talked about for the Sabres a lot. And maybe we'll fire that back up. All right, it's still a manageable trade idea. Now, I loved the Thatcher Demko idea for the Buffalo Sabres a couple of years ago. And to be fair, he's not really been that good since we had been talking about him on this show. He's been relatively okay this year for the Canucks. Last year was a tough year for him, and he's had injury problems along the way. But at this point, he's 30 years old, and I still feel like he's an upgrade over Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. So I would be interested in acquiring him. He has no trade protection, I saw, until July 1st. So now would be the time to make a move like that. Kind of like Quinn Hughes, the Canucks will probably look to do that as well because Demko is in the final year of his contract. So whoever's taking him on, it's maybe a rental. But I don't know. We'll see what his next contract looks like and who would be interested in just getting him for the short term or paying him long term. And of course, that'll come down to what he looks like on a new team. But he should get traded. But we'll see if that ends up coming to fruition. Demko was the starter in that previous meeting against the Buffalo Sabres, and he will be in the goal. He will be in goal tonight. So maybe a little scouting tonight for Demko to see if he's a good idea for the Sabres to bring in for some sort of trade. These two teams, so 32-15 were the shots last game. The Sabres got the win 3-2, and they're a favorite in this game. And the lineup looks really strong. I think the thing, though, that I'm wondering most, we've been talking about Jason Zucker's impending return to the lineup, and we are getting that tonight. He is going to play, and he is going to be a part of the lines that we talked about yesterday, which were not really my favorite, but the more I look at them, it really does just show off that the Sabres have a deep group up front at the moment. And Noah Ostlund, Zach Benson's ascension this year have kind of made the group look better on the overall. Zucker's going to go on a line with Josh Norris and Alex Tuch. I like that line. I really do. I like their top nine. I wish Noah Ostlund was in Peyton Krebs' spot, but it's one spot on the lineup that I'm not really liking out of 12. Everything else, I'm in love with. I love the Doan-Tage combination on their line. I think Norris, Zucker, and Tuch have a really strong possibility to be a dominant line. McLeod, Benson, and Quinn has been working pretty nicely. I think that's the line that's been getting the most out of Jack Quinn this season. You got two smart players, one of which a very good skater, McLeod, I think insulates Quinn's shortcomings a lot. I like the lineup. When Noah Ostlund is on your fourth line, not to force an 05-06 comparison here, because I don't really think that there's a lot of need to do that. But one thing that I will always remember about 05-06 that was a strength of that team is when the young players came up and were performing well, they didn't always have spots available at the top of the lineup for them. But those players were still making contributions at the bottom of the lineup. Thinking about Jason Pominville for this. Jason Pominville spent a lot of time that year on the fourth line. Not the whole year. I mean, eventually he got up to play with Danny Briere and Jochen Hesch a little bit, and then the next year, more of that. But that rookie year for Pominville, I mean, there were lots of games where he's playing with Gaustad and Pyatt on the fourth line, but he was contributing and scoring goals and giving them solid minutes. And Ostlund, while he might be on the fourth line, centering Jordan Greenway and Beck Malenstein, I think that line could do well. I don't like that he's on the fourth and that the minutes are going to be further down and that he's kind of got to carry the line rather than be a rookie that's helped out by other good veterans. But Greenway and Malenstein, and Ostlund, that's a good defensive line. I trust all three of those defensively. And while you're taking away a little bit of size and physicality with Josh Dunn exiting the lineup, you already have good physicality on either wings with Malenstein and Greenway. Now you add in really good skating and a creator in the middle. And maybe that's a line that could be good defensively while at the same time become a line that could contribute a goal or two. Now, I'll say this. The moment that Peyton Krebs has a tough shift, I'm going to immediately be saying, all right, there you go. Put Ostlund up there. Bad period, bad couple of shifts in a row. I don't know what Lindy Ruff's line is for that, or if even Krebs is the guy that he would move down. I can't believe it would be anybody else because he's also a center, and you could very easily put him in that spot between Malenstein and Greenway, and you're not going to do that with Jack Quinn. He's not a center. So I'm going to be watching Krebs closely because I think Ostlund has a very real possibility of even in the middle of a game getting bumped up with Tage and Josh Doan, or maybe they move things around elsewhere. But keep an eye on that. The Krebs Ostlund spots in the lineup. Jason Zucker returning to the lineup. Power play. Big power play implications. Check out Expected Buffalo, Chad DeDominicis. I've seen a lot of his content the last couple of days. He's really been focusing on the power play. And, I guess I hadn't really noticed just by watching their power play that it had been struggling. I had liked some shifts that they had in the last couple of games, but I guess on the overall, obviously it has not been good. And they have not scored in 6 games on the man advantage. The Buffalo Sabres have actually spent 33 minutes and 49 seconds of power play time without scoring. Almost 10 minutes of power play time in their last game. And they were not able to find the back of the net. They have had a lot of struggles in the power play for years now. 2-3 years at least. And I'm not really confident that this coaching staff, these assistant coaches around Lindy Ruff, are going to give the Sabres the answers on the man advantage. Seth Appert seemingly in charge of that right now, and I'm not sure what more they could try. Other than this guy, Jason Zucker, returning to the lineup. He, despite playing only 21 of the 40 games the Sabres have played this year, he leads them in power play goals with 5. He led them last year by a wide margin with 11. 16 the last 2 years, easily the most power play goals on the Buffalo Sabres. A lot of that from the net front. So it does come down to, can you get the puck to the net? And also, whose spot is he going to take? Now, Josh Doan has been the guy standing in front a lot. I feel like they should keep Benson on that unit with Norris, Tage, and Dahlin. Take Doan off of it, put Zucker in front of the net. That's what I would go for. I wonder if Benson, though, is the one who gets the short end of the stick. We'll see. But Zucker returning could give them something. He's the only guy that has scored for them regularly on the man advantage. And it's kind of amazing they've been able to win games so much without much on the man advantage at all. So we'll see if he's able to contribute in that way. And that's why I do think it was important to get him back in the lineup. I mean, other than the simple fact of the matter that he is one of their 12 best forwards. When everyone's healthy, he is absolutely one of your 12 best forwards. Almost a point-a-game player on the year. And he's dealt with, illness and injuries. But the man advantage, they do not have a lot of guys. In fact, I don't know if there's another guy I would say this about. They do not have many players that I would call anything close to a power play specialist. And you know what? Every team needs a guy like that. Or you could use a guy like that. And listen, the Sabres have had opportunities to get guys in recent years that are power play specialists. I mean, they didn't want to go for Patrick Laine. And you can understand why. He's not a complete player. But you had a need on the man advantage that guy could have helped you out with. And Montreal decided to be the team that got him. Now, he's got injury problems, too. He's only played 5 games this year. But 15 power play goals last year. That's the type of guy that you're getting. They did try to get Patrick Kane a couple of years ago. And same thing with Kane. I don't really think he's great for your lineup, your top 12 forwards. But the one thing Kane gave Detroit last year, and to a lesser extent is giving them this year, is production on the man advantage, power play. Olofsson was this for the Sabres a little bit during his career. And on this unit, Tage is at a point where I'm not sure Tage is ever going to be a prolific power play guy again. I mean, last year he had 44 goals, but 37 were at even strength. I'm not sure Dahlin is ever going to be, the best, power play guy in the league in the way that Makar is, or Quinn Hughes is. I think more of his value is at even strength. I mean, he's a good power play player, but who else? Doan and Benson. I like these guys some, but I think that other shooter, Norris is the answer here. I'm kind of feeding around the bush. Josh Norris is the name that you really want to be this answer. He was a guy they acquired that had value in the power play, that had a big year in Ottawa a couple years ago, scoring 16 goals on the man advantage. He is somebody that you want more from. And it's only 1 power play goal from him in 14 games, and you'd want that to be a little bit higher. I'm optimistic that it can get going. But he's the answer to, I think, this question, along with Zucker returning to the lineup. Man advantage. Got to get it rolling. When we come back, what's going on in Vancouver? Not good things, and we'll tell you how vulnerable the Sabre opponent is coming up on Locked On Sabres. Today's episode of the Locked On Sabres podcast is presented by Rocket Money. Let's be real, managing your finances can be very overwhelming between subscriptions that you forgot about, bills that keep going up, and trying to figure out where all your money actually goes each month. It's easy to feel like you're losing control, and who has time to track every transaction or hunt down hidden fees? That's where Rocket Money comes in, the personal finance app that helps you take control. It helps find and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It tracks all your subscriptions, lets you cancel them right in the app, just a few taps, no more hunting down customer service numbers, which obviously can be super annoying. The automatic transaction categorization is a game changer. You can finally see where your money is going each month. You can set budgets and goals, personalize insights, receive real-time alerts for large transactions, upcoming bills, and low balances. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/locked-on. That's rocketmoney.com/locked-on. rocketmoney.com/locked-on. Sneaky Joe DiBiase back here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. The Sabres and the Vancouver Canucks Tuesday night, 7 o'clock. See what kind of crowd we get. Tuesday nights can be light, sometimes even when they're good, but off a 10-game win streak, I feel like the building could be a little bit more full than it normally is on a Tuesday. So for this game, Vancouver, they are riding a 3-game losing streak into this game. They also have lost 5 of 6. So definitely struggling as of late. And some of those are to Eastern Conference opponents. They lost to Philly twice in that stretch. They lost to Boston in that stretch. Weirdly, they've had a very, very odd schedule quirk. It's very weird. In their last 7 games, they've played Boston twice, Philadelphia twice, and Seattle twice. Very weird. You only play like 3 teams in 2 weeks. Now, they are getting rolling on a long road trip. They have a 6-game road trip coming up. Now, this is the first of those. So, while yes, you have a West Coast team coming east, they have had a few days rest, Saturday to Tuesday, which is the same as Buffalo. But they are coming, obviously, from Vancouver here to Buffalo. So, you get that west to east game. They have been struggling a lot. And I think the team is about near dead. I don't know what their effort level has been like recently under head coach Adam Foote, but there have been questions about that for years now, and I think that it's a team that I could see giving up. I don't know that they are, though, yet. Maybe the results would tell you that. There's always questions right now about Elias Pettersson and what his future is. Those are starting to pop back up again because he's not having the best year. He's under a point-a-game player again, and there are questions about, what is he ready to be the number one guy, the leader on a team, because it's kind of cleared the decks for him. Like JT Miller is gone, and now Quinn Hughes is gone. And is Pettersson going to be next, or is he going to be a part of the solution? He now does have trade protection, so he has a lot more say in where he goes than he would have a year ago, which is why there was a lot of debate as to whether Vancouver should get out ahead of that, because now they don't have as much control, and maybe they don't get as much as they would have a year ago for Pettersson. He, by the way, is tied for the league, their team lead in points with 25. Filip Hronek on the blue line is actually doing that as well. Hronek, who has never topped 50 points in his career, is on pace for that. 48, he actually did have a couple years ago. He's seen a little bit more offense. He's been in Vancouver. So he's a name to watch on the blue line. He's playing 25 minutes a night. Big minutes for him. He's going to the Olympics too, by the way, for Team Czechia. So great player, and great player, a little much, maybe a good player in Filip Hronek. Evander Kane is a part of that team now. Connor Garland, Kiefer Sherwood. They've got some veterans that are trying to be physical guys and kind of answer the bell there, but they're just not very good players at this point. And by the way, DeBrusk has been so poor that he's been healthy scratched in some games recently. I don't believe he will be for tonight's game. I'll double check on that, but it's not going well. Second last in the Western Conference, 37 points in 41 games. Only the Winnipeg Jets are worse in the NHL so far this year. And again, there are jobs on the line. So when I look at Vancouver and I look at, some of the numbers, some of the lines that they have coming at the Sabres tonight, it's a team the Sabres should beat. Flat out. You're at home. You've had 3 days rest. I know they have 2, but that's a team you should beat. DeBrusk, by the way, is back in the lineup, and he's right on the top line. Pettersson with Linus Karlsson and Jake DeBrusk. Second line, Max Sasson. along with Brock Besser and also Evander Kane. David Kampf, Kiefer Sherwood, Drew O'Connor. It's just not a very deep group up top. And the blue line is not very impressive at all. Marcus Pettersson, Philip Hronek mentioned, Zeev Buom, Tom Willander, Tyler Myers is still hanging around there as the last player in the NHL that has appeared in the Buffalo Sabres playoff game for the Buffalo Sabres. So not a lot of talent here. They still got Pettersson, but he hasn't been the same for 2 years. There just aren't many threats. There aren't many guys I'm worried about. Besser's a nice player. Pettersson, when he's going well, is a nice player. But there's nobody I'm that afraid of. So this is a game that the Sabres need to win. It's a very beatable opponent. And do some scouting. Find out who you like. They're going to be trading guys off the team. See who you like. Maybe Besser. Maybe it's Thatcher Demko in goal. Maybe it's Pettersson again. We could circle back on that. Although Sabres have been pretty good at center lately, but I'll never say no to a conversation about a player with that talent level. I know there are other factors. So Vancouver, very beatable. And the Sabres are favored by a lot. How much? What's my bet of the night? It's all coming up on Locked On Sabres. Today's episode of the Locked On Sabres podcast, all about Sabres and Canucks. 7:10, what you're looking for. I want to give you the exact time. I know there's anthems and whatnot. 7:10, when you go to FanDuel, one little underrated aspect of FanDuel is because they want you betting right up to the start of the game. They're not giving you the 7 o'clock when you got all the festivities still before, like puck drop. What time is puck drop? 7:10 for this game. The Sabres are favored minus 172. That's actually gone down a little bit. They were in the minus 190 area either this morning or last night in that range. They are right now at a 6.5 over under for tonight's game with minus 140 on the under. So you had to lay down a lot to get to the under. Anytime goals for this game. Tage Thompson, he's climbing back up the odds a little bit, plus 145, especially after that amazing game he had against the Dallas Stars recently. Pettersson, plus 195. I would not take that. He's the second favorite to score a goal in this game. And then you have Alex Tuch, number 3. I did look at Jason Zucker for this game, plus 250. Guys get that energy level when they first come back and they're playing on adrenaline a little bit, even though they haven't been in the lineup. And he's looking to prove something, I think, because he's probably annoyed that he wasn't in the lineup. I mean, he knows why. They've been winning games. But he scored in 3 of his last 4 games before going out of the lineup due to injury. So he's going on the power play. I think that he's a good bet for tonight's game, and I could easily take that. I think that's my favorite goal scoring prop, but my bet of the night is going to be the Sabres to win this game by 2 or more goals. I'm going to take the puck line, minus 1.5 at plus 144. I think the Sabres are the better team. The only thing that worries me about this game is who's in goal. Luukkonen. And that's tough to trust. It always will be. So you might get a great game from Luukkonen. He's given you a couple. 3 of the last 4 were really good. But he might struggle. He might let in 2 that he's not supposed to. Similarly to like he did in Columbus. So that's my one little bit of nervousness about tonight's game. But I think the Sabres will overcome that. I think they will do a good job of not leaving Luukkonen out to dry because they're the better team. They are the better hockey team than the Vancouver Canucks. Some of the advanced numbers I never got to on Vancouver, where they rank on the year. 5-on-5 numbers. Before that, I'll even give you their power play. Because while the Sabres might not have a great power play, Vancouver is not much better. Sabres are at 18% on the year, which ranks 22nd. The Vancouver Canucks are 20.3. They're at 15th on the year, so a little bit better, middle of the pack power play. Their penalty kill, this is another one where you might like Zucker to score a goal and maybe on the power play. The Canucks have the 3rd worst penalty kill in the NHL. It's 12% lower than where the Sabres are. They are second best, of course. 5-on-5 numbers on the season. Vancouver, in terms of their shot attempt percentage, Corsi for percentage, 23rd in the NHL with 48%. Shots for percentage, they have been outshot 928 to 801 this season. That is 4th worst in the National Hockey League. They've been outscored at 5-on-5, 83 to 71. That's not good. And their expected goals for on the season is 26th in the NHL at 47%. So There's really nowhere you can look where this is supposed to be a very good team. They are pretty much as bad as they're supposed to be. So Sabres to win by 2 or more is where I'm riding for tonight. We are at plus 6.5 on the year, by the way, in terms of units, if you're wondering where our count stands. No, excuse me, plus 7.5. Plus 7.5. All right, that'll do it for us today here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. We'll talk to you after Sabres and Canucks, looking to bounce back. And they've had a good attitude as of late. Like, they know this can't stop here. They will lose ground very quickly in the East if they don't keep winning. See if they get it tonight. Check out our Discord. You want to be a part of that during the game? Check it out. You want to become a part of our Everydayer Club? That's where you can get access. Go to lockedonsabres.supercast.com. You also get free ad-free versions of this show. We'll talk to you after Sabres Canucks here on the Locked On Sabres podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network.